Good morning, my Real News Midday TV family. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning, and I'm wishing for everyone a wonderful and a productive day. And in the news this morning, witness identifies the photographs as the Maitland trial resumes. After over a month-long break to enable administrative matters to be sorted out, the murder trial of Constable Noel Maitland resumed on Monday in the Home Circuit Court in downtown Kingston, with a crime scene investigator employed to the Independent Commission of Investigations continuing his testimony. The examiner explained that he had gone to Maitland's Chelsea Manor apartment in St. Andrew in July 2022 to scope for evidence following the disappearance of Maitland's social media influencer and entrepreneur girlfriend, 24-year-old Donna Lee Donaldson. She was last seen alive at the apartment complex where her policeman boyfriend lived. Using a range of circumstantial evidence, detectives said they had grounds to believe that Donaldson was dead. Maitland was subsequently charged with murder and perverting the lawful burial of a corpse. During examination in chief led by the prosecution on Monday, the crime scene investigator explained for the 7-member jury how he packed and stored evidence related to the case, including curtain drapes found at Maitland's apartment, which had what he said were several stains resembling blood. From Maitland's apartment, he also secured a pillow cushion. The investigator also spoke of how he secured a toothbrush which belonged to Donaldson that was taken from her mother's house in St. Andrew. The toothbrush and the other items were swabbed for DNA evidence. I collected the package, the brown curtain, and placed it in storage, which is our exhibit room or vault at Indicom headquarters in Kingston. At that time, I alone had access to that room. I collected it from the exhibit room and carried it with me here to court. It was intact. It was unopened. When I delivered the cream pillow cushion to the Institute of Forensic Science and Legal Medicine, it was in the same condition. On the 11th of July 2024, I took it from the lab and carried it back to Indicom headquarters and stored it in our exhibit room or vault. I last saw it this morning. The package is intact and unopened, he said. I wrapped the toothbrush in sterile paper and took it to the Institute of Forensic Science and Legal Medicine. I last saw it on the 11th of July 2024. The item was intact and sealed. I collected it from the government forensic lab and I carried the exhibit to Indicom headquarters and I placed it in the exhibit vault for storage. I saw it this morning as well as the previous court date, May 28, 2025. The package contains one motorized toothbrush. It was handed over to Indicom by Mrs. Sophia Logg, the mother of Donna Lee Donaldson, he added, before being asked to identify photographs taken of the toothbrush and certain areas of the apartment complex where Maitland lived. He was specifically asked to identify cameras in the photographs and the direction in which they were pointed. It is expected that today, when he returns to the witness stand, he will be shown photographs of the inside of Maitland's apartment to identify the curtains, which he said had what appeared to be bloodstains on them. Lawyer wants a probe into police over mishandled rape case. A 45-year-old man who has been acquitted of rape and sexual assault charges brought by his stepdaughter nearly 6 years after she first made the allegations, says the damage to his life is irreversible. As such, his lawyer is demanding a full investigation into alleged police failings in the handling of the case. Brian McPherson was acquitted of all charges in the St. Catherine Circuit Court on Friday, June 27, bringing to a close a case that his attorney, Hugh Wildman, insists should never have gone to trial. According to Wildman, the charges stemmed from a 2018 accusation by McPherson's stepdaughter, who alleged that he had been sexually assaulting her since she was 8 years old. She was living with him and his wife, and she for some reason made allegations that since she was 8, he was assaulting her. That accusation was made in about 2018, where she went and spoke to her mother and said that the accused man, Mr. McPherson, had sex with her recently. The mother was alarmed, and so she took her to the Spanish Town police station, where she made a report, and Mr. McPherson was taken into custody by the police, with Sissoko investigating the matter, the attorney said. However, Wildman noted that just the days after making the accusation, the stepdaughter reportedly returned to her mother in distress and confessed to fabricating the entire story. He explained that the mother took her daughter to the police station, where she retracted her claims and admitted to the lie. She went to her mother and she said, "Oh God, Mommy, I did something wrong. I told a lie on Uncle Brian, and I want to clear my mind," and told the mother that she lied on her stepfather, Wildman told a journalist at a news conference on Monday. However, Wildman said that in July 2022, the complainant, who was by then living with her biological father, renewed her allegations, claiming that McPherson had sexually assaulted her. Wildman told the journalist that despite the early retraction and the suspicious timing of the renewed allegations, the case proceeded without the original confession ever being presented in court. He pointed out that although the retraction was included in the mother's statement to the police, the absence of a formal confession from the complainant herself placed his client at risk of wrongful conviction, even though the mother testified in court that she witnessed the police taking her daughter's statement. Nonetheless, he said the mother's testimony was ultimately enough to save the day. So we are saying that this is a case of suppression of evidence, where evidence would have been on file that the accused man was innocent, as the stepdaughter admitted that she lied on him and the police refused to take that statement. The mother said she saw them taking it and they came to court and said they didn't take it. That's the danger of the whole thing. The mother said she was there when they were taking the statement and there was no statement on file, he added. Wildman argued that such a critical lapse by the police should not go unchecked and called for an urgent investigation into the conduct of the cop involved. In the meantime, McPherson, who was grateful to be acquitted after a week-long trial, said the emotional, social, and the personal cost of the case has been overwhelming. "I am devastated. It scattered my family. We were a good family. My son, my wife's daughter, and my daughter also. We were a good family. We were comfortable, and to see this happen, it really devastated my life. You know, people scorn you more than others, and people have more bad thoughts than good thoughts, and you have people who more intend to believe than not to believe," he said. According to McPherson, he feels judged, especially at the church where both he and the complainant worshipped. "After my victory, I went to church the following Sunday. People there greet me, and there are some who don't greet me. Some people just don't want to believe the truth," he said. He described the experience of repeatedly returning to court as traumatic, saying he struggled to believe the reality of what he was facing. "It was like, am I dreaming?" He said the ordeal has changed his life, describing it as the most terrifying he has ever faced, but affirmed that he is committed to moving forward with faith. "This is something that taught me a lot, and I never have such a terrifying time in my life. It's like waking up and knowing that something is over your head for almost 6 years. It's something you have to face. You can't run away from it, you just have to face it and wait for that day to come to say yes," he said. School principal freed of assault charge. George Moody, the principal of Grateful Hill Primary and Infant School, who was accused of assaulting a student last month, has been freed of the charge. Mr. Moody, who was represented by attorney Donahue Martin, was accused of physically assaulting a student at the institution located in Glengough. He was freed of the charge after the court offered no further evidence against him following mediation. According to the St. Catherine North Police, the incident occurred in March on the school grounds. The alleged victim is a male student who has been receiving counseling. reports were made to both the police and the Child Protection and the Family Services Agency in April, prompting a formal investigation. Mr. Moody is a former Jamaica Labour Party councillor from the Ensom City Division in Spanish Town, St. Catherine. St. Elizabeth jurors warned they will be fined if they fail to show up for duty. High Court Judge Evan Brown has warned the jurors in St. Elizabeth that they will be fined if they fail to report for jury duty. Justice Brown, addressing the opening of the St. Elizabeth Circuit Court on Monday, revealed that more than 80 jurors had been served to attend the court, but only 11 reported for duty. Of that number, all were excused on medical grounds, which means no juror was present for the opening of the circuit court. Justice Brown is warning that, should the jurors not report for duty on July 9, they will be fined. The St. Elizabeth Circuit Court opened with 200 cases set for trial. Of that number, 65 or 32% are related to sexual offenses. This has surpassed the matters in the gun court with fewer than 30 cases. Another 17 of the total cases were for possession of identity information. The circuit court is to last 4 weeks, but the final 2 weeks is reserved for the continuation of a part-heard matter in connection with American Henry Toppin, who has been charged with the murder of his estranged wife. This matter started in the Hillary session of the St. Elizabeth Circuit Court, but it was adjourned as the time allotted for the sitting of the court had elapsed. Guys, thanks for watching. Please join us this afternoon at 2 p.m. for another news update.